Hello, welcome everyone for another episode of the Author Spotlight. The Author Spotlight. This is where we go behind the scenes with best-selling authors, find out about who they are. They are planet shakers. They are change agents. They are KPIs, key people of influence, and they're making a difference in the community, locally and globally. So I'm so excited today to have Abby Levine on the show today. Before I let Abby come on, I'm telling you, she's already been working on me already before this episode started. So, hey, I'm telling you right now that y'all can expect to have a life-changing experience through this interview. I'm just going to share a little bit about her bio. As a product of foster care, Abby has been through everything a person possibly can: violence, abuse, rape, homelessness, and extreme poverty. She was a single mom for 7 years and struggled to find herself and her happiness. When Abby first started her journey as a healer, she stumbled across hypnotherapy, and began to study it. She soon added neuro-linguistic programming, cognitive therapy, and I think it's Reiki, to her practice, and she became addicted to healing. Through her own healing journey, she found that the techniques available were so transformational that she started a private practice working with anyone who needed a healing of a similar nature. She spent years and thousands of dollars learning and distilled it into easy to apply processes and techniques so she could effortlessly translate her healing to those in need. In a fraction of the time, she now spends her time in one-on-one coaching, speaking for groups, leading events, and developing ever more programs so people can finally have access to the ever-elusive peace they crave. So I told y'all can expect a life-changing event. I just want to introduce Miss Abby Levine. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And if you could fill in any gaps that I might have left out, Abby, in your wonderful bio.
Oh, thank you, Darren. It's so happy to be here this morning. I love just connecting with you and your audience and being in this space with you today. Gaps, I mean, my bio pretty much covers it. It doesn't brag on me at all, but I have won Best Hypnotherapist in Los Angeles for the last 3 years.
Woo!
And Best Hypnotherapist in my hometown for 4 years in a row. So those are like a couple of things. I have several awards under my belt, but I don't necessarily always lead with those because honestly, it means nothing. My biggest awards are the transformational stories that I have in my backpack of my clients.
And I love that. I love that about you. I can tell that just when I first talked to you, you were about helping, you're about serving, and I love that you shared that, and that's why you're number one. For the most part, because, I still believe in that philosophy. You help enough people get what they want, you get everything that you want.
Absolutely.
This was the perfect segue. I just want to talk and just see with hearing your bio, why this first book? I mean, 10 easy ways to be more you, how to find yourself in an increasingly noisy world. Why did you write that with the background that you had? You could have wrote about the homelessness part. You could have wrote about it's so many things you could have went with and then been a successful businesswoman. Why this book at this time?
That is such a great question, and it has an easy answer. When we go through trauma, and it doesn't matter if your trauma was homelessness or abuse, or if your trauma was just a neglectful parent, everybody's trauma is equal in their eyes. So nobody's trauma is better or worse or bigger or smaller than anybody's. But when we go through trauma, we begin to identify with the things that actually happened. And we lose contact with the person that we actually are. So we start to live in the past. We start to live in our mistakes. We start to live in the guilt. Or we live in the future. What's going to happen? If that happened, oh my gosh, what else is going to happen? It's going to be terrible. And so we either are living like in guilt or anger or resentment, or we're living in anxiety as to, what's going to happen next. And there's just a lack of connection with self. And I realize that because, I've had probably now thousands of clients. And the biggest challenge that I see in every single person, regardless of social status, regardless of financial independence, regardless of religion, race, color, creed, whatever, no matter where they come from, no matter what their background, is that people struggle to find out who they are. They don't know who they are or what they're here for. They don't know what their purpose is. And so what happens is they just kind of go with the flow, and they end up in situations that they hate, living lives of mundane boredom, and they wish that they could break out of, this rut that their life has become, but they have no clue how to get started. And it's easy. It's so easy. So easy, in fact, it can be broken down into 10 simple steps. And so, as my practice was getting so busy, and people are going on my wait list, I just wanted to give them something and say, look, here, you don't need me to start this journey of self-discovery. Here are 10 easy things that you can do to start to get to know yourself. And then I'm going to put you on my wait list, and then we're going to go ahead and dive deeper, once my schedule allows for it, and things like that. So I just wanted to give them that in their hands, that they can go, oh, okay, I don't have to live in misery anymore. I don't have to live in this kind of boring, monotonous existence that I'm not challenged, that I don't grow, that, stuff like that. Here are some steps that I can use, and I don't even need to pay, more than $1 for, or more than $2. Or, if you subscribe to my mailing list, you probably get it for free at some point.
I love that what you sharing about how we can get stuck. And I was just talking about this earlier, of the present. So many times you bring that up, and I think that, it's evident in how we're living our lives. And like you say, it's mundane and it's average, and we're stressed, and we're buying all this medication, and we're not living a life that we're supposed to live. And we know that it's something that's innate in us, calling us to be great, but we're listening to the herd that's around us and saying, stay here, stay in the bucket with us. We're getting caught with the rest of the crabs. And so we know there's something calling us out. And that's what's so frustrating. And that's what's causing the health issues and the depression and the issues that we're having mentally as well. And I'm so glad that you're addressing this. And speaking of this in the mental hurdles, this is a great segue into what made you believe, after the paradigms that were created inside of your subconscious mind, after all that you had went through, what made you believe, Abby, that you could write a book when so many others have failed at the task?
That is a great question. And honestly, I didn't believe it at the beginning. I really didn't. I had a pie in the sky dream that I could sit down and I could put my ideas on paper in a way that would be easy to digest. And I just got started. I actually began my book as kind of a memo to one of my clients. She was really struggling, and I was like, no, like, knock it off. So here we go. Here's 10 easy things that you can do. And then she wrote back and she was like, well, I don't know what these are. And I was like, oh, okay, good point. So then I went back and I gave a short description for each one. And then she shot me back and she's like, well, can you give me some examples? And I'm like, oh, okay. So then then I went back and I was working on it. And then I went to a workshop led by a ghostwriter who has ghostwritten, I think it's something like 17 bestsellers on the New York Times or something like that. I know, it was really amazing accolades. And her whole presentation was about exactly what you guys do, which is, why not? Why keep getting in your way? Why keep letting those voices of doubt stop you? Just begin. Start with a blog and then take all your blog posts and put them together in a book. And I was like, what's funny is I already have that document on my computer.
Wow, come on, man.
So then I got together with one of my friends who's an editor, and she proofread it, and she asked me a few more questions. She's like, oh, as an outsider, I don't really understand this bit. Can you flush it out for me? Can you tell us a little bit about how the unconscious mind works for those of us who've never even heard that we have an unconscious mind? So I was like, oh, okay, that's, super helpful for other people to know. And, and then my book just kind of came together.
I love that. Let's just make sure that we not go any further in this interview. And for those who are listening in and understanding, I told you that Abby was going to hit you with some value bombs on this show today. She hasn't let me down yet. She started out with a bang, a big bang, and here we are. I want you to look at the importance of starting. Notice that she didn't have it all figured out. She didn't know that, okay, on this step, I'm going to be here and this is going to happen. And for those of you out there also wondering, what am I supposed to write about? And you have businesses, or you're in the corporate arena, or you're trying to do something phenomenal. Realize, look at who you can help. What do you know that's a solution that could help others? Start there. Those are two things that I grabbed out of there immediately, out of the story that Abby was sharing with us, the importance of starting, not knowing, starting. And it's amazing what'll start happening for you as you begin the journey, how you will start finding the oasis in the desert, so to speak. When you're in that dry place and don't know how you're going to get this done, the resources will start to attract to you because you are moving in the right direction and you having the right vibration. You'll start attracting the right things and the right people and the right resources that allow for you to be able to bring it to fruition or manifest what you're thinking about, or that goal that seems so hairy and audacious that you don't think that it ever could happen. But if you start moving, you'll start becoming a reality. Do you agree with that, Abby?
Oh, so much. And I can hear that you've done a lot of reading of the greats, and I love that. But it's funny because what you're saying is absolutely true. You're probably familiar with Gary Vee. He's one of my favorite people to listen to. But, people ask him all the time, do I build the plane, or do I try to just take off and then hope and then just try to fix it in the air? And Gary Vee goes, you have to do both, right? You have to come up with the framework of the plane, but then you got to take off, because if you sit on the ground trying to perfect your plane, you're never going to get to your destination. So you have to take off. You must. And your plane is not going to be perfect by a long shot. So then you have to fix the plane while you're still in the air, put the tires back together or fix the wing as it starts to come apart. And then only then can you get to your destination. You have to do both. So, what you're saying, Darren, is like right on the nose. So important, because if you never start, then you'll never get where you're going. Ever.
I love that. Ever. You will never get there. And speaking of that, what all that you have going on? You're a mom, you're running businesses, you're helping people, you're just a modern day Renaissance woman. You're Wonder Woman. You D all the above. And I'm just thinking about, could you give us some hacks? Could you share with us what was your process? It's different for everyone, but I just want to know, what did you do? Was it early in the morning, evenings? What gave you the best productivity for us creating content for your book?
I love that. That's a wonderful question. I'm actually not a morning person. So for me, that whole model of waking up an hour early to work on your book just didn't work for me, because it takes me an hour to wake up, so I'd wake up an hour early and then my hour would be gone, and then I would be, trying to start my day. So what I had to do was I had to carve out a 3-hour block every week in my work schedule. So it was something that I had to physically plan to work on. And did I always get to spend the whole 3 hours? No, because maybe I was on a phone call, or maybe I got an emergency, email that I had to attend to. But at least I set that block and I created it as sacred space. Now, what that means is that I refused to physically book anything within that time. So if my entire calendar was filled and all I had available was that 3-hour block, and someone called me and said, hey, I'll pay you $1,000 to book a session with you this week, my response would be, I'm sorry, I don't have anything available for this week. Let's go ahead and look at next week, right? I protected it like with all the sanctity that you want to give yourself, kind of create this beautiful space of love around it, to give yourself that freedom to really express yourself. It's part of building self-love. It's giving yourself that time. So I created that block in my schedule, and then every week I would just sit down and write, and sometimes I wouldn't feel inspired. And when I didn't feel inspired, I took a page out of Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Elizabeth Gilbert, and she just wrote anyway. When she didn't feel inspired, she just put some stuff down on paper. And so even when I wasn't feeling it, even when I wasn't, like my creative juices weren't flowing, I would just sit and write. And it was the worst stuff. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, during that time where I didn't feel creative, it was bad, man. But that's okay, because when I did feel creative, I could go back and I could read it and go, I could rephrase this, I could add this in there, or I'm just going to take this whole chunk out, you know, or whatever. But we have I had the benefit of being able to do that. And so that's what worked for me. For those of you who also aren't morning people, that's what I would say. You know, if you work a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday or whatever, then you're going to have to do it on your day off. Or you're going to have to do it after work one day. You're going to have to come home, no plans, you know, kids are at grandma's, or kids are with dad, or kids are wherever. No, you don't go out for drinks, you know, with the guys or the girls. No, this is your 3 hours from 5 to 8, or from 6 to 9, or from 7 to 10. Those are your 3 hours to sit down and actually write. And if I can throw out just one more piece of something that helped me.
Go ahead. You at home, Abby. You at home.
That's awesome. Yeah. Usually I don't ask for permission to speak, so this is kind of new for me. I just go ahead and speak. But I don't know you yet, so I was trying to be polite. So if I could throw out one piece of something, when I thought about writing as a tool for change, I became really overwhelmed, because when we think of ourselves as a tool for change, it starts to like get all mixed up and gummy. You know, we're like, okay, well, what if I'm not saying it in the right way? What if I'm not talking about the right thing? What if I'm writing about something that no one's interested in? What if it's not going to change the world? You know, I get bogged down by all of these like expectations that I was putting on myself for being a tool for change. So again, I took another leaf out of Liz Gilbert's book, and she says, don't write for others, write for yourself, but trust that you have a message to share, and that's why you're called to write. So everybody's story can teach so many other people so much about life. But if you write for the other person, you're going to start to feel the weight of those expectations sitting on your shoulders. I must change the world or else I'm a failure. No, just go ahead and just write. You know, write what comes out, write what you feel, write what you want, write what you're called to write. And then give it to an editor. And the editor's job is or give it to you guys. And you guys can help people format it in a way that is easily digestible or easy to understand, or it really drives home the point of the lesson at the end of the day. We don't have to be responsible for the whole process from start to finish. We can use these resources that are outside of us, because, you know, we have to study writing, and we have to study editing, and we have to study publishing, and we have to, like, we're never going to actually sit down and write. So focus on the process, focus on just letting what's inside come out. Don't worry about how it looks on the page. Don't worry about how it sounds for right now. Just let it out. And I think that will help people begin the process of just sitting down and starting, like you mentioned, was so important.
I love what you shared, and I'm so glad that you, and by all means, you don't have to know me very well. We're kindred spirits, right? And so I just want you to know that what you shared is so important for those who are listening in right now. Don't try to write one message or one book or one word or one paragraph that you think is going to just change the world. By you acting and doing, which I consider your fiduciary responsibility, your fiduciary duty, is making an impact. And that impact is just sharing you, the true essence of you, or what you've learned or what's been helpful for you, and let the chips fall where they may. And realize that your tribe, the people who are cut from the same cloth as you, or that need that message for them to go where they need to go, they will benefit from what you share, and they will understand it. But every tribe isn't the same, so to speak. They speak a different language. They're in a different season. They got a different understanding. But your tribe will find you. Your tribe will be grateful that you moved forward and did what you did. Just like the many people, the thousands of people that Abby has helped, is because she realized that, you know what, it doesn't matter about what I've been through. It doesn't matter about the homelessness. It don't matter about the abuse. It doesn't matter about all these things that I've went through. The key to it is that I'm going to use that pain as my product and use that for mine and others' breakthrough. And you have to do the same in your own life, that you realize that what you went through is for somebody else's breakthrough. And it's actually therapeutic for you to know that, you know what, I didn't go through this for no reason. it's a purpose behind it. And that's what gets you fired up. That's why we do this show. And that's why we have individuals like her who's changing the world literally and figuratively by the things that she's doing. And speaking of that, I just wanted to ask you, since publishing your book, could you just share with us the different circumstances where you've seen that it was a benefit for your life, whether it was your business, economically, whether it be through maybe how a child looked at you or how your clients viewed you? Could you share the difference and, just share the different ways that the book has been an asset to your life?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the biggest things was it gets me in front of more people because people find my book and invite me on their podcasts, for example. So it immediately establishes a level of authority that just didn't exist before I wrote my book. And here's the thing, man, you know, I am not special in, like, everybody's special, but I'm not more special than anybody. I'm equally as special. So there's nothing that makes me different than you, than someone who hasn't published a book, that's someone who's already, like, still working a 9-to-5. We all have gifts to share, but in the eye of the beholder is where the magic happens. So even though, you know, I'm humble, I will always be humble, that doesn't mean that someone doesn't look at me in a different way. That means when I speak from stage, people listen to what I'm saying. People assume that I know what I'm talking about. You know, of course it leads to more business because I'm so myself, you know, in my book, and it's just me and my own voice, and I'm kind of goofy, you know, and people really like that. I'm a little goofy, and so people feel like they know me before they ever meet me, and then they meet me and they're like, okay, we're going to be best friends, but, you know, let me book a session with you, let me sign up for your programs. It creates raving fans, you know, and I have just, you know, this core group of people who will follow me everywhere. I'm doing an event over here, they're going to show up. And I'm doing this over here, and they're going to show up, or they're going to, you know, live stream it, or they're going to not miss it, you know. And I don't know that I always have the confidence to be able to nurture that kind of relationship with people, especially, you know, with my humility. But once I realized that I did have a message to share that actually benefited people, and then, you know, I was able to publish my book, it really gave me wings, you know. When we grow in confidence, other people's confidence grows in us, right? Because we suddenly sound like we know what we're talking about. So when I got my wings, all of a sudden people are taking me a little more seriously, and it's just tone of voice, it's just words that I'm using, but just that book, you know, made such a huge difference, because all of a sudden I felt like I was one of the major players. You know, oh, I got a book, woohoo! Now I'm on the stage, woohoo! You know, I'm speaking at events, and oh, I get to have my book in the back of the room, or I get to give it out to people, and they're like, oh wow, I have a copy of your book, and I'm like, really? It's just me, you know? Really, you're that excited about having my book? It's just, you know, little old me. But yeah, I mean, those are just like a few of the major ways that doing that has impacted my life and my business.
And, you know, and that's the amazing thing about it, is that, like you said, you are able to be yourself. And that's the amazing thing, is that you're able to make an impact. You're able to be compensated. You're getting, you know, instant gratification as well, because, you know, people telling you, hey, thank you. I appreciate you. And, you know, and so many of us have been beaten up, told that we aren't nothing, we're not valuable, whether it's our skin color, or whether it's the shape we are, or our hair, or whatever, what we have and don't have, so to speak, no matter what socioeconomic, you know, area that you fall into. But you find this area with your tribe that you actually got this safe haven, so to speak, to feel like, you know what, it's all right to be me. It's all right to laugh. It's all right to have a good time. Now, some people don't like laughing, so that I'm not a part of your tribe. And so those who love to have a wonderful time, and like I love what Abby is sharing, because I wanted to share a little bit with my story as well with this, is with, I know I have a Southern, I like to tell people I got a Southern drawl like Tim McGraw, you know, saying, hey, for all my country and music fans out there. But I say that because I didn't try to become something else. Now, of course, I believe in professional, personal development, things of that sort. But I stayed true to who I was. And by doing that, it opened up doors just like it did with Abby, because you had people like, man, I love that. I love that accent that you have. I love this right here about you. Well, I mean, you're just so authentic. I mean, you're just being who you are. And that resonated with people. And by them knowing and trusting you, they want to do business with you. They want to book you. They want to be encouraged by you because they can trust you. In a day and age where you see so many bogus claims and people taking pictures by, a Lamborghini or, different things. I'm not knocking what nobody do. People just, sometimes it's a breath of fresh air to know that, okay, this is like somebody I can have a cup of coffee with, or even have a beer with, or just trip out with. And I know that they're actually living what they're talking about. And it's important. And, and speaking of that, Abby, could you share to that person out there who's thinking to themselves, I see, Abby, she's bold, she's beautiful, she got it going on, she's overcome. I can't see myself. She's touched thousands of lives out there, but they got a story that they want to share. Could you share with that person who was in the spot like you were back in the day, where they might didn't think they could do it? Could you share with them the importance of why they should share their story with the world?
Oh, man, yes. That just gave me chills right there. And I love your story. And I love that you embrace yourself. It's so important just to be you, because there are other people who are just like you. But when it comes to sharing your story when you feel like you don't have anything of value to give, borrow our faith in you. Borrow our faith, borrow our belief. Yeah, maybe we don't know your name, but we know you have been through something that 10 million other people are also going through right now. And you're going to come out the other side, and those other people are going to be stuck right where they are. And, I have this phrase, and I use this, in a lot of my speaking, but those of us who make it through the flames must grab buckets of water and pass them back to those who are still in the fire. We have to. That is our obligation. We cannot do it for them, right? So we have to give them ways to do it for themselves. We have to shout and wave and go, here, this way. I know you can do it. I can't do it for you, but I'll be here for you, and I'll be ready, waiting with a blanket and a hug when you make it out, and you will. You just got to come this way. So when you're in the fire, believe there is that voice within you that says you are meant for more. That voice is right. Listen to it. Don't let that doubt, don't let that fear cloud up your mind. That voice within you that's telling you that you need to write your story down. Listen to it and just write it down. Even if you start with bullet points, let someone read it and watch their reaction. Notice the tears, the chills, that they go, oh, wow, I never knew this about you. This is amazing. What? How are you still alive? Borrow their belief in you, borrow our belief in you, coast on other people's confidence in you until that confidence builds within yourself. But just do it anyway, right? Pursue that fear, pursue that doubt, do it anyway. That's what I would say.
Woo. Borrow others' belief in you. You have to do it. Borrow it. It's worth it. I'm telling you, it is worth it. Definitely do exactly what Abby shared. Abby, I know before I have people trying to jump on me and beat me up, I got a family to take care of. Please share. Where can they find out more about you? How can they get on this waiting list to do the one-on-one? How can they subscribe and get a part of this newsletter? Please tell me about the book. D, all the above. If we were taking a multiple choice test, D, all the above, like we used to do back in school. If you don't mind, please share all that you have.
Absolutely. So go to my website, abbylevine.com. On there, I have a free PDF for you. You can download right now. It's on 3 easy ways to reduce your stress instantly. So sign up, grab that PDF. You'll be popped on my newsletter. You'll automatically start getting information about my different programs. I have an online group, which is constantly going, and that one is, that doesn't have a max capacity. I have a membership that's much cheaper that'll have all my content on there. It's going to be launching in just a few months. So there's so many ways that you can take advantage of these growth tools and this healing, without having to get me one-on-one. You can get me one-on-one, and through my website would be the best way to do that too. But you don't necessarily need to, because I got all these other tools available for you. So, Facebook. Connect with me on Facebook.
Okay.
Yes, I'm the only one, I think. Yeah.
Hey, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's actually a great thing. And, and Abby, I just appreciate you so much. I really appreciate you coming on. And forgive me. I wish my team would have knew that you didn't like to do the early thing, and I got you up early.
No. Oh, no, this isn't super early. The 8 o'clock I can do. No, it's not super early for me. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm doing like 5.
Oh, okay. I got you now. I was like, oh man, I said we called at the wrong time. But
no, you guys are so great. No, awesome.
We got to connect on more things. I'm telling you all, make sure that you get all her content, buy the book, reach out to this woman. I'm telling you that.
Darren, I've already decided that we're going to have you as a speaker at one of our events. So my partner and I, we do this event series called Lifestyle Hackers, which is teaching business professionals how to grow their business in an authentic way. So one of the biggest challenges, right, as a professional is, how do I not be a douchebag? How do I not be salesy? How do I not,
I love it.
Oh, I'm real, y'all. It's like the people who really care about the people that they're working with, they're terrified of making the wrong impression. They're terrified of saying the wrong thing. They're terrified of assuming this persona of someone who they're not actually. And then what happens is they do accidentally, because they don't know how else to be. So we're, bringing a bunch of professional speakers together to teach them how to be themselves, use their authentic voice in a bunch of different ways. So we just had an event. We covered more general stuff, like how to be yourself in online marketing, but also make money, how to create your message, how to use authentic content and stuff like that. Our next one is going to be purely a 3-day event just on online marketing, because it's so huge and so daunting that, we really want to break it down and make it super easy peasy for people to access. But then I would love to I have on my list one to do about writing a book. And I think that you would be such a fantastic resource to be there on our stage, teaching people how to do this and how to publish without, facing the daunting task of writing and, to publishers and continually being rejected. And how do you get your message out and things like that. So I think we're going to have you on our stage. I've just decided.
Awesome. I really appreciate it. It'll be an honor. Like I said, being able to connect with you, period, is an honor. So
likewise.
You got to send that. Just let us know. Our team, they'll get me situated, because I might not do the scheduling the best. So they say what you're not good at, get to somebody else to do. So, at the same time, we would love to be able to support and help your people, empower them, so they're not going through that rejection where they don't have to. And so that the true essence of their story can go out and be shared. So thank you once again for even thinking about me. I would love to do it. Just let me know and I'm there.
Okay, you got it.
All right. Well, this is another episode of the Author Spotlight. We have my girl on, Abby Levine. I told you that she was going to kill it. She was going to give us great value bombs today. She didn't let us down. If you want to catch this episode, you can catch it at selfpublish30days.com, or go to our YouTube page, and you can find this content at DMP Enterprises, or you can contact us personally. I just send it to you. Whatever we need. We definitely want you to hear about it. But this show will show every Sunday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. So you'll be able to catch Abby's episode and others who are making a difference, who are change agent, planet shakers, who are making a difference locally and globally around the world. Remember, until next time, this is the year for your new book. Be good and be blessed. We'll talk to you soon.